Welcome in everybody to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host Michael Darcy, and today I'm joined by Michael Hebner, and we're going to break down the Week 7 matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs Kingdom, what a game, what a performance by this Chiefs defense. But I'm really not looking at this Chiefs defense right now because of that injury to Patrick Mahomes. Basically what happened was it was 4th and 1, the Chiefs were trying to get to the goal line, and they decided to do a QB sneak, which was a dumb move. I mean, you do a QB sneak with your already injured quarterback? What is that, Andy Reid? That was a dumb play call. I mean, he even said after the game that probably shouldn't have run that play. So yeah, not a great decision by the head coach, Andy Reid. So the Chiefs decided to let their quarterback dive for it when they got a fullback in the backfield. So they decided to let Mahomes dive for it. He dives, he gets the yardage, but his offensive lineman pancakes him and dislocates his knee. So, I mean, that's more than once that his offensive lineman has physically hurt him. So, I mean, not good. MRI results just came back. It's not really serious. He's expected to miss about 3 weeks. At the earliest, he could come back in 3 weeks from now, but I mean, we're lucky he's not out for the rest of the season. He was able to basically walk it off eventually, but I'm not really confident with Matt Moore leading this Chiefs offense. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, so I think that in Matt Moore's defense, he hasn't played football realistically in the last 2 years or so. He's a 12-year vet, so he's already familiar with the system. He knows how to play football. But the only real issue is the fact that he hasn't started with the Chiefs. He hasn't played with Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. I mean, it was pretty evident in the game last night. He hasn't played a lot. He overthrew Tyreek Hill once.
But he did throw a touchdown to Tyreek Hill. So
he did, but let's be honest, that was not a designed play. That
was basically just Tyreek Hill burning his speed, and he just broke away. I mean,
that was not meant to be a touchdown play.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good throw, but again, I'm just not confident with Matt Moore leading this offense because, I mean, if he was that good, he would be a starter. And again, like you just said, he was out of football for a few years and he came back. So, I mean, not saying that he's not good enough to play, but he almost thought about leaving the NFL. So, I mean, not the greatest guy to maybe have as your backup. I've heard some rumors that they might try to trade for another quarterback like Marcus Mariota or somebody like that because I think the Chiefs need to win these important games down the stretch to make sure they don't fall to lead in the division and make sure that their playoff hopes don't fall to nothing because they need to have a 1 or a 2 seed in order to get to that Super Bowl. That's just what I believe, but I think that without Patrick Mahomes, that might not happen.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Moore is not okay. I mean, let's be honest though. We're never going to get another Patrick Mahomes, right? If we did trade for someone, they're never going to be Patrick Mahomes level of a player. They're not going to play the same as Patrick Mahomes. It's probably going to be more of an Alex Smith offense. We're not going to see the deep throws. It's going to be very conservative, and we're going to try and get our defense to do most of the work. I mean, last night was our defense playing. And it was pretty much our defense the entire game. Sure, our offense put up a couple points, but the defense came up with, 9 sacks?
9 sacks. 3 different players had 2 sacks. Frank Clark, Alex Okafor, and Anthony Hitchens all had 2 sacks.
And on top of that, they scored a touchdown. So
Reggie Ragland returned a strip sack to a touchdown. So I think if this defense can start manufacturing turnovers and points, this Chiefs team will be just fine. But I don't know if that's going to happen against a better offense. I mean, let's be honest, Joe Flacco and that offense is probably one of the worst offenses in the NFL. So
we're never going to see a 9-sack game again from the Chiefs.
I mean, we don't need 9 sacks, but the point is we need to be able to force turnovers and stop the run. Last night, I was very, very excited to see that this Chiefs defense was able to stop the run. They basically stacked the box, and they made Joe Flacco throw it, but he didn't have enough time to throw because we brought so much pressure. So they stacked the box. They took away Philip Lindsay from basically making any impact. I heard that he had 71 rushing yards when he was expected to have 150 plus. So taking away one of their most valuable parts of that offense was huge for this defense. And I think that without Frank Clark getting called for a face mask, the Broncos wouldn't have scored at all. So they're very lucky to have scored in the first place, but I think that this Chiefs defense has a lot more confidence going into the later months of the season because knowing that they can shut down any offense is very important to morale and confidence going forward.
But we also have to look that, I mean, you've already said it. Denver is the worst offense in the league. So
But shutting down any offense in the NFL is not easy.
Right, and it's pathetic in a sense if the Chiefs couldn't have that performance, because that's what should be expected of a terrible defense against an offense like Denver. I mean, we need to look big picture too and go, can the defense have that exact same performance against someone like New England, especially during playoff weeks or whatever?
But here's the thing, they don't have to be as good. If they could literally get 2 sacks, force 2 turnovers, or something of that nature, this Chiefs team will be fine. If Patrick Mahomes is back on this team, that's all they need. The Chiefs dominated the time of possession last night, and it really showed. One thing that they did on offense is when Patrick Mahomes left, but even when he was in the game, they ran the ball a lot more. I mean, Shady McCoy really got active in that running game, but Damian Williams didn't have a bad game either. So they were really alternating between those running backs, and it really showed in the running game's production. That was the best running game performance we've seen all season.
Yeah, and that's a huge part to winning the time of possession battle, because, you know, when you have Patrick Mahomes and he throws it 70 yards in 2 plays, you know, sure, great, we put up 7 points, but now the other team has another 5 minutes they can run off the clock just to get, you know, a field goal or even a touchdown. And I mean, we saw it in all the losses the Chiefs had last year. I mean, they were all shootouts. And it all came down to the fact that our defense couldn't make stops, our offense couldn't get the ball and hold on to it long enough to prevent the other team from scoring a touchdown or a field goal or whatever they won by. You know, they were all tiny losses. And this year we have a chance to overcome those obstacles that we did. Maybe run the football a little bit more. Maybe our defense will step up a lot more now. I mean, I don't expect our defense to play that great next week, or I should say in 10 days or whenever, but the next game, I'm expecting everything to drop a little bit. I mean,
well, yeah, it's Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be a very interesting game because, I mean, Matt Moore is probably not capable of winning a shootout between Aaron Rodgers.
But we don't need to worry about that if the defense can stop him, because, I mean, we have a decent secondary.
Our secondary has never been the problem. It's always been the issue with stopping the run, but I think that if they stack the box against Aaron Rodgers, he can carve up this Chiefs secondary. It's really going to matter if the Chiefs need to draw back in coverage or stack the box or just bring pressure. I mean, they need to throw everything at this Packers offense to get them off the field, because I really think that Matt Moore needs to become more of a game manager and not really put up a ton of points. I mean, we'd like him to put up more points, but I just don't see that being possible. I just think that he's going to control the game. He's going to control the time of possession. He's going to control the amount of points we score. He just needs to basically be like an Alex Smith, which, I mean, Alex Smith's the ultimate game manager. So if we can get something like that from Matt Moore, we'll be fine.
And the other thing, too, with the defense is not only did they improve in stopping the run, but they cleaned up their play. I mean, we didn't see as many penalties as we saw against the Texans. It felt like with the Texans, every single play there was a penalty.
Just about every single play there was a penalty.
Yeah, and it was like a hold or some sort of defensive sloppiness that we shouldn't have from the team that we have put together. I mean, we've brought in tons of different players to hopefully, you know, spark something. And now I think the defense, after hearing all the criticisms the last, 7-8 weeks, however long it's been, they're finally starting to gel together, finally starting to become more confident with one another. They're starting to understand each other more.
Well, finally, they're starting to get chemistry, because keeping in mind, none of these guys have really ever played together. It's a new defensive scheme with a new defensive coordinator. There's a lot of adjustments that need to be made, and so it looks like right now they're starting to click. Hopefully they can continue to get better, but if I had to chalk this game up to an aspect of winning it, it was the defense. This game was won by the Chiefs' defense, no doubt. And I think that even if Patrick Mahomes was still in the game, we'd be talking about the defense, not the offense. So I think that that was a huge plus. And I just really like to say very quickly is, Broncos fans, what were you doing? I mean, I was hearing all this trash talk that the Broncos were going to steamroll the Chiefs, Phillip Lindsay's going to get 200 yards on the ground, all that kind of stuff, and we just absolutely demolished you. You had no chance from basically the first possession on. So, I mean, the Chiefs are going to control this division for the next 10 years, and I don't see this Chiefs team losing very much to the Donkeys. So it's going to be a great next 10 years, and I hope you guys have fun being the last team in the division every year. So that's my take on this situation. Hopefully the Chiefs defense can continue to get better as we go along, and hopefully Patrick Mahomes can heal up because we need him on this team in order to win a Super Bowl. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys like these videos and want to support me, go click the link in the description and go support me on my Patreon. I would more than appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the KC Sports Report by Michael Darcy.